Hi everyone, Chuck Gatica here for a Healthier Michigan podcast. In the upcoming episodes, we'll feature conversations from the Mackinac Policy Conference, which centers around the theme, The Power of And. This theme encourages dialogue among speakers and attendees, emphasizing the importance of an inclusive approach for Detroit's policy solutions. By bridging divides and fostering nuanced thinking, the concept of the power of and promotes unity, progress, and benefits across various sectors in the state. We're continuing our conversations with conference attendees and hope you enjoy these bonus episodes. On this episode, we'll be focusing on the power of investing in youth and future of our communities. We'll be talking with Downtown Boxing Gym Youth Program founder and CEO, Collie Sweeney, and Executive Director, Jessica Hauser, Detroit Pal CEO, Fred Hunter, and Dutton Farm CEO, Jenny Brown. First up is Downtown Boxing Gym Youth Program founder and CEO, Collie Sweeney, and Executive Director, Jessica Hauser. It's good to see both of you.
Good to be here.
Nice to be here.
I have to be nice to you because you both box, or you both into it, or
Not at all.
I was going to pretend, yes.
yes. You know what? I took boxing lessons, and I can take a 90-pound gym bag. That's about it. I don't know about a person, but I'm really mean against a bag.
No, I don't box.
No, not at all. Well, let's talk about this idea. 2007, going back. We love to talk in this grouping of episodes about the past, present, and future. Downtown Boxing Gym, you've been providing academic and an athletic program for kids age 8 to 18, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us more about that.
Right. So it is a program that really focuses on the whole child. Our kids are with us for years. So Collie started in 2007 to create a space that he wished he would have had growing up in the city.
Yeah.
And it was, the bottom line is for kids to really be able to be seen and heard and have a safe space to figure out who they are.
Okay.
And then it's up to the adults in the space to recognize all those light bulb moments and build resources and support around that. So our kids are with us all year round for years. We really can create a pipeline of success.
And for years should not be lost. I mean, this can take them all the way past 18, to age 25, right?
Yeah, we got a dedicated staff that work with them through college too.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes.
So does this become then influencers in their life? This is way more than just a safe place, a training ground. This sounds like it's more critical than that.
Yeah, we have mentors that stick with them. Actually, I'm leaving early to go to a graduation. The kid put me down as his father.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's a high compliment.
Yeah.
And it is hyper individualized support. So no two kids experience the same downtown boxing gym.
Yeah.
So it's, literacy intervention, math intervention that then leads to, like I said, those exposure moments, to internships, to college selection, to career. So it truly is every step of the way. We work really close with our families as well.
And when you see kids come in the door, age 8 or 10, are they coming in for a particular reason? What's drawing them in? Is the family coming in and saying this, or how are these kids getting to you?
Right now, it's just word of mouth. A lot of people hear about success stories of the program, and it's like you seeing kids going from straight F students to becoming honor roll students and getting accepted into some of the best colleges in the country.
Wow.
That spreads like wildfire. We have so many kids that are coming in and just like jumping from two grade levels.
Yeah.
That spreads quickly.
So is it the academics that's the first on-ramp when they're walking in the door, or is it kind of a holistic approach? It's everything.
Books before boxing.
Ah, interesting.
That's been my motto for years. When you first walk in the door, I'm going to tell you, books before boxing. I make that real clear.
Yeah, actually, of our 250 kids, none of them are competing in boxing at all.
Yeah.
Right. So the discipline of the sport, but
yeah, not a healthy body. Now you're gonna do the exercises. Now we're gonna go through the paces. You're gonna run. You're gonna do some jumping jacks, push-ups, all that type of stuff. If you feel like you want to hit the bag, you can hit the bag. But yeah, you're gonna hit the books first.
That's intriguing. And then what other part of this then takes them outside of your realm? Because you do have young people that are aging into now wanting to think about a career, a future, college or not. Where do you start to involve mentors then from outside your community, even in business?
I mean, from day one, not day one when the kid joins, but could be as young as 8 years old. We have outside folks that come and work with our elementary school students. That social network being comfortable interacting with all different folks in different career paths is critical. So that starts at a really young age, and we just build on it over time, and then make it more specialized once we really understand a kid's interest.
Sometimes when people come in our building, they see our elementary classroom and they see that our elementary kids are taking finance classes. They're like, wait a minute. It's like, I don't even understand what they're talking about. And then you go into our middle school room, you see another finance class going in there that's a little bit deeper than that one.
No kidding.
And then our high school group, they're taking, they already invested in stock already.
It was hilarious. We had a group of executives from S&P Global, and our elementary school kids were learning about stocks. And so they had, hand selected a bunch of stocks and had them up on the wall. And the folks from S&P were like, man, their stocks are trending better than the S&P. Like, what is happening
That's
right
awesome.
now?
Yeah,
it was really cool.
And the 250 kids, are you at capacity then at 250 and with a waiting list, right?
Yeah, we have a huge waiting list. We're actually working right now to raise funds to build a second building to be able to double our capacity in Detroit.
Yeah.
And we also built out a franchise model to respond to the global demand to scale our program.
And is that being scaled anywhere else outside of Detroit yet?
We're narrowing down a couple of different groups to be able to pilot. We have informally worked with some groups that are using our model.
Okay.
So we know we were able to test out what we can pass off, but we're narrowing down who we're going to pilot with right now.
So near term and even beyond, when you start to look at the future, new building, you're talking about things, anything else you can see that is actually on the radar you can talk about that's a future push here for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's both the second building to be able to respond to the demand in Detroit and really be able to push the model out nationally and then globally. Those are steps we're actively taking right now.
So I guess as a personal aside, do you have any 8-year-olds that could advise me about my portfolio? Would that be something I can look to?
Yeah, you can. we have quite a few kids that are crushing it with finance.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, it's really interesting because that idea of hands-on learning versus just being pushed into topics, when you're doing math and maybe you don't even pick up on the vibe that you're doing math.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I think that's so important. And in our space, that's, we really have the luxury to be able to do all the hands-on learning that we want. Our kids right now, our middle school and high school kids just built their own small business to make juice that they're working to sell it in the Eastern market, right? But all that includes math and,
well, sure.
I mean, all the business acumen that you learn, and it doesn't feel like you're learning anything. You're just doing it.
And then someday they'll be walking around the Michigan Policy Conference, pressing the flesh and backhanding, saying hi to everybody, right?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
We have what are the student council?
Our student council.
Yeah, our student council. They'll probably be up here soon.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, it's good to have you both drop by. And
Thank you for having
so
us.
good to be inspired by what's good that's happening, not just in the past, present, but also for the future of our youth in Detroit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, be on the lookout for our STEAM lab. That's what's coming next.
Well, and we've just gotten done talking to the head of the Science Center. I mean, there's so much that's involved in the future, whether it's AI or otherwise, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we do a lot with them. We love them.
Yeah, our STEAM lab is like our kids, they all opt into it, everybody.
Do they?
Because it's optional, and our kids love the science. They
Yeah.
love it.
Well, that's great. So I feel good. The future is in good hands. Well, it's good to have you both here.
Thank
Holly
you.
Sweeney, who's the founder and CEO, and Jessica Hauser, Executive Director of Downtown Boxing Gym Youth Program. So good to see you, and thanks for all you're doing.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having
Yeah,
us.
take good care. Next up is CEO of Detroit PAL, Fred Hunter. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Jack.
You enjoying the sunshine and the nice cool?
Wonderful Mackinac weather. So, I am enjoying it.
Isn't it nice? Yeah. So Detroit PAL started back in the late 60s, and it began as Police and Youth in Sports, as PAYS, not as PAL, a different acronym. Talk about what PAL was and what it's become now.
Yeah, the timing was significant. So 1969, understanding about 2 years after 1967, and just the real gap that there was between law enforcement and the community. So police officers got together. Judith Bear, a policewoman, said, we need to do something. So she said, let's connect with young people in sports. And that was where PAYS came from.
Yeah.
So that was the original beginning. And then they realized there's the national organization, which is, the Police Athletic League and Police Activities League.
Yeah, and continuing to this day, has the mission changed?
No, the mission is still on point. It's connecting with the community and really lifting up the community.
Yeah.
So, we do what we do in mission with Detroit Police Department. So that's part of our mission, DPD and community volunteers to help youth find their greatness in a variety of ways.
And what kind of sports are youth involved in with the help of PAL?
Yeah, so there's 12 different sports. So,
okay.
So we lead with sports. Sports, from what you get out of embracing a healthy lifestyle and just the learnings and the life lessons you gain from sports. So 12 different sports, which gives a lot of opportunity and a variety for parents and for kids. So from football to basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, track and field, tennis. So a lot of different options for youth ages 4 all the way up to 18 for some of our sports. And it really, reaches the community with those offerings in sports, in addition to what we do with youth enrichment and other programs.
And it seems like just of the sports you named, of those 12, there are many of them that you would not necessarily associate with kids in a neighborhood. I mean, growing up, I grew up in inner city Chicago and then eventually wound up in Detroit, but I wasn't exposed to track and field. Maybe if I went off to high school or college, that wasn't something I would have been exposed to as a young kid.
Yeah, and it's important to us because there's a lot of talent in our young people, and it may not be just in basketball, just in football, just in cheer. So we want to have the offerings, and one of the sports I didn't mention is hockey as well, which we just brought back and had a lot of kids that had PAL hockey, which they played and loved the sport. So we just believe in giving those opportunities and letting kids choose, what they have a passion for and what they can develop for, either in the sport or just loving the game as well.
How does that connectivity with Detroit police officers manifest itself then? So we know the sports are going on. I'm a kid. I've got these choices with the help of parents to figure out an off-ramp to see if it works. Where are the police involved in that?
Yeah, a couple different ways. So DPD, we have 3 officers, full DPD officers that are assigned to PAL.
Okay.
So they game plan with us in terms of, what the programs we're running and how they can be involved with the DPD presence. So, they'll be present, but they also recruit other police officers, to engage as volunteers or to be available. So that's one way. The other way is this intentional programmings that connect youth to police officers in a positive way. So we worked in partnership with a Ford Motor Company, in 2020. In the pandemic, after George Floyd, we developed a program called Ford Critical Conversations. So we're bringing together young people and officers over 7 weeks to have genuine, honest conversations, which range from social media, police brutality, fact versus fiction. And what we found is from that program, 58% of the kids entering the program didn't have respect for police, and that went up to 83% that, grew in the respect for police. So it's something that is, changing the game in terms of that relationship with police officers.
And, that's wonderful to hear because a lot of what you're doing could be considered heavy lifting, right? I mean, it's personal touch in a world where we were told to socially distance from each other. And you're saying even during the pandemic, you're able to start an initiative that connects the dots of humans to humans, right? It's not just through social media.
Yeah, we did, and it was excellent. We started in a virtual model, but we wanted to connect because we didn't just want the conversations to go on nationally and outside without our officers being able to, really interact with young people. So the first 2 years we did it virtually. This past year, we not only did it in person with 4 schools, 2 DPSCD schools, 2 charter schools, but we also with 4 were able to launch that program into Buffalo, New York, Houston, Texas, and Memphis, Tennessee as well. So it's expanding, and we're seeing similar great results, from that program.
So I think it's a little easier maybe for us to envision the possible benefits for all the kids that could be involved. What about for parents? What kind of feedback do you get from parents?
Yeah, so parents love the programming because when, you got a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, or 11 or 12-year-old, you're looking for a quality program that can be in a safe environment that has a focus on developing your children. So we work in partnership with parents. Many of our volunteers, and we can't do what we do without volunteers, many are parents that not only are coaching their son or daughter's team, but they're coming alongside and bringing 10 or 12 others. So for parents, it's the option, and then the joy they see of their kid learning a sport, participating in the youth enrichment program and growing and developing.
Then there's another potential group that maybe I don't focus on as much. What are the cops getting out of this? What do you hear back from the Detroit police officers about the rewards that they're hearing about from their involvement?
Yeah, it's important for officers because it's a tough task they have in terms of, keeping the community safe.
Yeah.
And many times, for adults and even children, they're seeing them at their worst, in trauma, the worst day ever. So with the programs that we do, they have an opportunity to be proactive, to work with youth, to develop them. We got, one officer that works in the homicide division, but he's also a leader for one of our football programs, and he's engaged.
Wow.
He's developing young people. He's helping them grow. So it gives that balance to police officers to really lift up the community, which is, why they're doing it. They pledge to serve and protect. This gives them an opportunity to serve.
There's an old quote that I can't attribute to anybody, but it goes something like, a man has never really done more for a young person than gotten down on bended knee to help them. Mm-hmm. And I think that what we're seeing with PAL is exactly what's happening. We've got Detroit police officers getting down to the level of a 6-year-old to help that kid, and the future that's ahead of them can be brighter.
Yeah, they're engaging, and literally with we got little kickers programs, little putters programs, so they are the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, but they understand the long-term vision. So if they can help develop the young person, but also give that young person a positive view of law enforcement, and that sticks with them through their life. So they understand, they may see things that happen with individuals, but they've also met individuals that care about them and want their best.
So Fred, when you look at the future now of PAL, is part of the excitement that you're able to offshore, what great work you've done here to other communities across the country? What do you see as the future?
Yeah, it's a combination. So it's the needs in Detroit, so even after the pandemic, just from seeing the learning loss that happened, not just over a summer, but over 2 years. And our kids need quality programs. So there's a lot that we do on the sports side, but what we can also do for youth enrichment. So we're leaning into, with partners in the literacy and into STEM programming, into, career and college exposure and entrepreneurship. So we know the needs are strong, and we want to be steady and grow to be able to reach more children, with the programs that we have. And then when we got successful programming, then we can say, hey, here's a model that works. And whether it's critical conversations or other programs in Flint or Grand Rapids, we love to partner with cities and communities and bring best practices to their communities to, lift up their children and parents as well.
That's great stuff. Well, it's good to have you with us. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, thank you. So glad to be here, Chuck. Appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, sure thing. Fred Hunter, who's the CEO of Detroit PAL. Take good care.
Yep, you as well. Thank you.
And finally, CEO of Dutton Farm, Jenny Brown. It's nice to see you.
Happy to see you. Happy to be here.
Isn't it a nice conference?
Beautiful day, beautiful conference. My first time here, so
it's really
been great.
Yeah. So what's your impression of the whole thing?
Fantastic. I love the casual atmosphere, great relationships being built, conversations being had. I'm learning a lot, so
well, that's wonderful.
Happy to be here.
So tell us about Dutton Farm and your connection to it.
Yeah, so Dutton Farm is a nonprofit located in Rochester, but we serve Oakland and Macomb counties. We're contracted in the behavioral health system to provide services to adults with developmental disabilities in workforce development, access to community, and transferable job skill building.
And there's a motivation here that's in your family, right? Your sister?
Yep, so I have a sister who is talented and smart and wonderful and good-hearted and kind and hardworking, and she has Down syndrome. So upon graduation from high school, for her, she was left with little opportunity and just faced rejection and disappointment, where for me, when I graduated high school, I was faced with endless opportunity. Got my bachelor's in political science and sociology, was enrolled in law school, played college basketball, all of the things, right? So we came from the same family, but my future trajectory looked so much different than hers. So as she was stuck at home, and I cannot fathom a career in justice, right, when there's injustice in my own home.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing a complete 180 to formalize a nonprofit for my sister and her friends, and didn't realize that it would continue to grow, and I would be able to encounter so many wonderful people that were really kind of ignored and forgotten in our society, and needed just to build some bridges and some pathways to help them access community and to explore their gifts and to find success in employment.
So at Dutton Farm, with your sister included, what kind of disabilities outside of Down syndrome would we see?
So individuals with autism, individuals with cerebral palsy, individuals with maybe just intellectual impairments. There's some individuals that have Fragile X. It, just depends.
Yeah.
But as long as they're contracted in behavioral health with community mental health in Oakland or Macomb County, we're authorized to provide those specific services.
Have things changed coming through and out of the pandemic? Have they gotten better or worse for opportunities for those you serve?
Employment, definitely. I think a lot of people are really thinking differently and trying to be creative about how they recruit, onboard, and retain talent.
Yeah.
I think HR is wise to start to get creative and think differently because, someone maybe with autism that's a really perfect fit for a specific job. For instance, we were working with somebody that was brilliant in accounting and numbers, but had a really hard time getting through the interview. But the interview questions that were being asked had nothing to do with his job. So if we could just rethink the way that we interview this gentleman, he became one of their best employees at an accounting firm, working full-time, previously unemployed and completely dependent on government benefits, and now has his own apartment and is gainfully employed.
So outside of that particular story, what other work opportunities are you seeing that are opening up for the future?
Across all industries, we're in about 15 to 20 different industries. It might be sales, marketing, light manufacturing, production, custodial, health and fitness. I think something that we really focus on is not pigeonholing somebody with a disability towards a specific job, because that's just how it's always been done.
Right.
We're really specific to what are these individuals' specific skill sets, their desires, their passions, and then we work to find an employment opportunity for what their skills are.
So what can all of us do to support an effort like this? Can we be more filled with grace when we encounter someone who may be gifted in numbers and not gifted in another realm? What can we do as individuals to be supportive?
So, if you are the employer, hire inclusively. Data shows, we all understand the moral case for being inclusive, but the data shows that this is good business. Companies that champion inclusion for people with disabilities far outperform those that do not, from top line to bottom line to company culture to customer satisfaction. So become a company that champions hiring inclusively. And if you're working for a company, talk to your ERG group or your supervisor about, taking inclusion seriously and not just make it a branding or marketing statement, but actually doing it. And being open-minded that you'll learn a lot more and get a lot more from having a relationship with somebody with a disability than you'll ever give to them.
I think that's an intriguing way that we tend to think of things. I know in my family, I've seen it because of care my daughter used to give to other children with disabilities, that you get a lot more out of the deal. And it's not lost on most people that that's possible, but I've just experienced it myself. I really do. You really get more out of it when you're helping. And that's one of the themes, that's the big theme of this conference, the power of and, to bringing in others into places that maybe they've been forgotten.
And you'll be surprised at how much more you get from being inclusive.
So looking ahead, what do you see as your challenges and where do you see opportunities then that maybe you haven't talked about?
So looking ahead, there's so much opportunity, there's so much need. We have the infrastructure, we have an incredible team, and we're just trying to figure out how to scale and be able to launch in different counties to be able to take our model and really explode this idea of employment of people with disabilities that have spent sometimes 2 decades unemployed, and really helping engage them into the job market across the state.
So Jenny, then is the farm open architecture? If somebody in another county or state were interested, are you able to provide them with the model?
Yes, absolutely. It's all
wonderful.
Packaged up and ready to go. We're just waiting for opportunities for an RFP from different counties. There are those community mental health that we can. It's just, all already set, ready to go. Supply them with the information that they need and then get started. That's
fantastic. Well, thanks for all the work you do. Yeah, you're encouraging and an inspiration with your personal story of change and then all the lives you're touching. Your fingerprints are on so many.
Thanks for this opportunity.
Oh, sure thing. Jenny Brown, who's the CEO of Dutton Farm. Take good care.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to a Healthier Michigan podcast brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. If you like our show and you want to know more, check out ahealthiermichigan.org/podcast or leave us a review or rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify. To get new episodes on your smartphone or tablet, be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.